And you're a blessed community, by the way, Unity Spiritual Center, Georgetown. I just want to let you know that. You know that part of what I like to do is interject a section that I call laughter is the best medicine, because, you know, you just can't be angry. You can't hold hatred in your heart. You can't do any of that stuff when you're laughing. And it really is good medicine. So if you have a joke that you want to share with me, you know, write it down or something, because sometimes it's hard to find some. So today's goes like this. One payday, an employee was pleasantly surprised to receive an unusually large check and decided not to say anything about it. The next week, he received a check for less than his salary and went straight to accounting to complain about it. Hey, what's up with this? Looking up the pay history, the clerk said to the employee, yes, I see, it is true. You did receive less than you were supposed to, but I also noticed that last week you got more than you were supposed to. How come you didn't say anything about that? And he's unruffled. The employee said, hey, I'm a good guy. We all make mistakes. I'm not here to judge anybody. I can overlook one mistake, but two? Now, come on. There's got to be a limit to stuff, you know. Today I want to talk about, here's the whole thing. I changed in the middle of the week what I was going to talk about, because I started with, sometimes, do you ever get the feeling, you look around and say, I mean, what's going on, like, you know, in America? And that's why I want to call it Healing America, because like, are we evolving? Are we going forward? Are we going backwards? What are we doing here exactly? And sometimes I wonder about that. And so, as I was considering what to talk about today, it suddenly became very clear, because in Unity, we talk quite a bit about being in the moment, in the now. So the question is, what is in the moment? What is in the now? Now has been very interesting for me personally on a very strange, different kind of ways. And there's so many things going on, you know. In the world, we got the war in Ukraine, we got NATO, gas prices, inflation, a madman man or two with access to nuclear weapons. You know, the Supreme Court overthrowing Roe v. Wade. I don't know how you feel about that, but lawmakers everywhere making gun access easier in this gun-obsessed society. And now SCOTUS just made it harder for EPA to regulate greenhouse emissions in the middle of a climate change that threatens our very existence as a humanity. Knock, knock, knock. Is anybody home? And to add to that, the polarized nation that we live in right now, you know, I don't know if you've been watching the hearing I have, and I'm going to make it very clear, I am not political. I have never been, and I don't want to be political. I'm a minister, and I love philosophy, and I love to learn, and so I watch these things because I want to know what's in the now, what's happening. And there are other major things on a personal level going on. Yes? You have something to say? So yeah, I went back and forth about what to talk about this week, and I changed this topic on Thursday, as I said. And then I thought, well, what am I going to talk about? And I thought about this. How about the end of the sane world as we know it? And then I remembered, well, hold it, we're a positive path for spiritual living here. In order to stay true to that, I must find something positive to talk about. But you know what? It turned out too much of a challenge. I couldn't do it, so I'm done for today. No, I'm kidding. But again, I don't know if anybody else is feeling that way lately. What is going on? I thought we were evolving into this higher state of consciousness, a higher state of being. And that is the question that I want you to keep in mind, because I'm about to embark, that's what I was going to do today, but I'll wait till next week, on a little series of talks about our unfolding consciousness as individuals as well as a collective society. So, you know, the question is going to be, is humanity evolving? Anyway, there's another now moment that I wanted to, there was another reason why I changed the subject, because there's another now moment going on this weekend, and that is, of course, America's birthday. This is the weekend of a potentially beautiful country. I say potentially because America started as an experiment. The experiment is still going on. The words read, in order to create a more perfect union. I say potentially because we certainly haven't created that perfect union just yet. And we are 246 years into this experiment. Now, recent events remind us that we're not even close to getting there yet. To our credit, though, we started with some very lofty ideals. In particular, the idea that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, that sounds like live and let live. What a wonderful idea that is. We have made many advancements, but who can believe it? Just 100 years ago, women could not vote in this country. 100 years ago. That's like 150 years into the experiment. Well, what took so long? I don't know. And then I looked up about the black vote, just to be sure about how that was going. And what turns out, it was the 15th Amendment in 1870 that allowed black men, not women, black men to vote. But the task was given to the states to regulate the conditions of this, that, and the other to meet the requirement to be able to vote. And the states put up all kinds of barriers, and it didn't work out very well. That kind of sounds like some of the stuff going on now, but I don't want to get into that either. It was not till 1965 or so when all the barriers were removed for black people to be able to vote. And last month, we celebrated Juneteenth, which is the celebration of the end of slavery in this country. And so we've come a long way because some of the founding fathers were themselves slave owners, as you know. That's the fact, and it is what it was back then. We also celebrated Pride Month. So in a lot of ways, we really are making some advancements. And I really like that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It's a wonderful line. The only thing is, and the only way we can do that is that we have to mind our own business. I have a little saying that I've used before, said, you are paying way too much attention to none of your business. So sometimes I just say that, you're paying way too much attention to that. Anyway, we just need to live and let live. It's very, very simple. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago about the golden rule. And the golden rule is in every religion, every spiritual path, everything. There is a poster that I wish I could find, and it has all how every particular religion expresses the golden rule, but we all have it. That's how important it is. Live and let live. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's not that hard. So we got to one of the things we stress a lot about in unity is that we've got to get rid of these limiting beliefs that we hold in our minds. We've had for a long time. They no longer serve us. Not to move on spiritually. They do not serve us, and we must get rid of them. And that's the task at hand. So the point is that we go through, and that's the subject of the general bigger picture that I'm talking about in the next few weeks. We go through stages of development, just like we do as humans when we're toddlers and then, infant toddlers and then adolescents and adults and stuff like that. We go through stages. Well, we do as well as a humanity. And this tribal state is one of them. And that's where all this us and them and nationalism stuff is coming from that tribal mentality. So we need to move on. So we need to heal America. And how do we do that? What is the state of the union? Where are we in this great experiment? What's our nation's greatest challenges moving forward? You ever thought about that? I already touched about one of them. The other one is cleaning up the environment. We got to get off fossil fuels. We do. You know that. We all know. I used to be in a band. I've been in bands all my life. In the 70s, I was in a band that was a rock fusion band, and we had a horn section. And we used to do this song by Tower of Power, and it went, there is only so much oil in the ground. Sooner or later, there won't be none around. Alternate sources of power must be found, because there's only so much oil in the ground. Back in the 70s, it's a great song. And then we got guns and polarization, and then especially ugly when the two come together. It really, okay, we don't need that at all. If we could just get rid of one or the other, would be nice. Do you know that in Japan, it is next to impossible to get a gun? And nobody complains about it. What is it with our obsession with guns? Do you know that I have never in my entire life owned a gun? Never. Now, I have shot a gun because I was in the military, I was in the Navy, so in boot camp, you shoot guns and things like that, but I've never owned one. And sometimes I think, do I need one? I said, you haven't needed one so far? Let's not, nah, I don't need one. So, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a motion that we remove all guns and weapons from the planet. Make them disappear. Can I get a second on that motion? Motion is carried. Wouldn't it be nice if it was that easy? Just to eliminate them all. In the welcome thing, we envision a spiritually transformed world. In a spiritually transformed world, and I don't want to just get too over, but we don't need guns. But it is what it is. And one of the things that I'm understanding is that everything is as it should be in some strange kind of way. So we've got a lot of challenges going for him. And I don't want to be an alarmist, but we've gotten to the point we can't even agree on facts now. And like, woof, where are we going? And there's only one way we can do this, fix it. We got to bless, bless, bless. And then we get tired of blessing, we need to bless some more, right? Ho'o, pono, pono. So I'm not trying to be political, but we're very, very blessed to be part of this beautiful experiment that is the United States of America. But it's time that we move on to a higher state of consciousness. It really is. And I keep saying that is my personal vision statement, if you will, to help elevate the consciousness of the planet. And I think a lot of you people here in Unity are in the same boat. We're trying to pick this up into a higher vibration. That's what we need to do. So while we've made many changes, there are a lot of changes still need to be made. Healing America. One of the things we can do is stop labeling everything. You ever thought about that? I came across this from actor Morgan Freeman. He says, how do we stop racism? He says, stop talking about it. He says, I'm gonna stop calling you a white man, and I'm gonna ask you to stop calling me a black man. I said, how about that? Labels separate us. They all do. I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm straight, I'm gay, I'm this or that, Asian, Hispanic, black, whatever. They're all labels, and they separate us. To me, we're just all Americans. Shouldn't we just be all Americans? And even that, from a bigger picture, is a little bit limiting because we're really all citizens of this one planet. And if we could see ourselves as citizens of this one planet, you know that Kathy, I think we were talking about the James Webb telescope. Well, they're going to start sending pictures back pretty soon. And it's going to show us some phenomenal things. And when you look back, if you've ever seen pictures of planet Earth from a distance, if you don't get that feeling of like, wow, all of us are on this tiny little speck, and we can't figure out how to get along. You know, Bruce Lipton says that the body has some 50 trillion cells, and they all work together for the good of the entire system. 50 trillion. We're 8 billion people on this planet, and we can't do that. And we're supposed to be the advanced ones? What's going on here? But you know what? We can, I came across, every time I do a lesson, it seems like the universe kind of jumps in and helps me out and sends me little things here and there. And this week I got 2 of them. And they were both from Wayne Dyer. Of all things, I hadn't talked to Wayne Dyer in a while. And one of them was about labels in a CD that my wife had bought to send to JR, my nephew. And it was about healing. And he says that whenever you label something, you negate them. And what I got from that was that then you kind of makes it all right to hate them. or to persecute them, or this, that, and the other. And so we got to remove labels. It's not that hard to do. And the other ones that we did was because we were in book club. We covered a YouTube video by Wayne Dyer, and it was called 10 Principles of Manifestation or something like that. And he talks about one of them. He says that he got from Carlos Castañeda. How many people remember Carlos Castañeda, right? In the 70s, a psychedelic, got psilocybin mushrooms, I don't know what else, whatever. Anyway, he says that from he learned that, he said, I finally healed myself and got myself going the right track when I realized that I no longer needed a personal history. I no longer needed a personal history. He says, because we carry this bag of manure around with us. And every once in a while we stop and we take stuff out and we rub it all over ourselves. And then we wonder why our lives stink. He says, get rid of the manure. It really is. And to that he added a metaphor from Alan Watts. And I don't know how many are familiar with Alan Watts. He wrote a lot of Zen stuff. I was reading Alan Watts in the 80s, I think, or something. And he calls this idea the wake, And he says that, imagine you're on a boat, and you're looking at the back, and you're looking at the wake of the ship. He said the wake is not what's moving the boat forward. The wake it's created by the boat, but it's in the past. So he said you don't need to, and when you have your attention on the wake, then you don't have your attention on the impetus that's moving the boat. And the boat, and that is what controls where you are going, with your own choices and with your own free will. So stay focused on the present. Leave the wake behind. Stop looking at that. So that's pretty simple. So I think it's the same approach for America, healing America. We've had our mistakes, we've done this and that, but it's time to move on, to get back in the present and what all the stuff that we do have and move forward. The last time I did a version of this Healing America thing was 2 years ago when I was still at Unity, Rio Grande Valley. And I came across this, at the time, 2020, the pandemic was in full swing. The George Floyd thing was going on, all the social unrest things going on. And I came across this thing, this writing this woman had written, and it was called Canceling 2020. And I thought, this is so applicable to even now, except with her permission, I'm asking for spiritual permission from, her name is Leslie Dwight, to change 2020 to 2022. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. She says, what if 2022 isn't canceled? What if 2022 is the year we've been waiting for? A year so uncomfortable, so painful, so scary, so raw, that it finally forces us to grow. A year that screams out so loud, finally awaking us up from our ignorant slumber. A year we finally accept that we need a change, declare change, work for change, become the change. A year we finally band together instead of pushing each other apart. 2022 isn't canceled, but rather 2022 is the most important year of them all. Now, we need to wake up in order to heal America. So it is time to wake up and move on to a greater consciousness that awaits us. Have a blessed week today. Blessed 4th of July and a blessed week. Bendiciones.